you've all heard that term, that food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. Now, today we want to talk to you a little bit about what that might be. We want to talk to you about herbs as a food group. This is Malcolm Saunders from the Light Cellar.
And this is Yarrow Willard from Harmonic Arts.
And we hope to share with you a little bit of information on food, medicine, herbs, where all that fits in, and at least take our 2 grains of dolls for it.
Yeah, for sure. My journey began specifically focusing on food nutrition. I was going through a nutritional program at the time, and in my mind, I'd really kind of classified, categorized myself as, an aspiring nutritionist. Food was my focus. I was very much into chefing and, as well as the nutritional side. And having known you for a long time, I had seen you going through herbal studies. I knew other friends, and I kind of really made this distinction, you're going to be a herbalist. I'll be a nutritionist. And
well, where do those two blend?
Exactly, right? So this is where I've come to it later, realizing herbs are an important food group. And began to take on that approach and including it in every day. I no longer feel intimidated by the world of herbs and learning about it. It's very easy and accessible to get into, just starting one herb at a time, and just realizing their value and the importance of including them as a food group.
For sure. I think that's something that people in general have. There's a little bit of a phobia around herbs. Like, oh, whoa, And I heard this in the 80s, herbs didn't work. In the 90s, they started to get more counterindicated, and the medical physicians were a little bit more concerned about them. By the 2000s, now we have to be very concerned and consult our doctor.
Right.
Now, these are the same plants. Throughout history, they have been consumed as the #1 form of medicine, but also as a big piece of food, as our food that we would eat.
Right.
A lot of these herbs are what we call tonic or gentle. These gentle tonic herbs, they can be consumed regularly with no ill effects.
Then the question comes, is it a food or is it a herb? Nettles, for instance, right? You can take that as a herb, but you can also just eat it every day as a staple food.
I've seen huge monographs on all the different benefits of taking nettles, and yet, we do almost a month of nettles every year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, diet approaches. Again, having studied nutrition, looking at that extensively, there's so many diets out there that really miss this whole piece.
They do, and what the other piece that most of the diets miss is this seasonal transition. The way herbs show up in the world is through different times in the season. It's not as though we consume the same herb all the time, because it just doesn't exist in the natural world all the time.
Right.
So we're using this kind of food group as a transitional cycle of how to show up in the world, learning what are the plants learning. And it's not a huge food group. It's something that should be a small part of our diet, but is an integral piece.
Totally. Yeah. And you need, different herbs for their different actions at different times, like you say, throughout the seasons, throughout your life. And just really want to encourage you, if you haven't begun exploring the world of herbs, just start with one, right? Really simply. And the great thing is, get to know it. And the great thing is, you can learn it intellectually, which is great. It's fun and it's very helpful to kind of have an intellectual understanding. But really, the herbs work whether you know that much about them or not.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
Just start eating it.
You don't even need to know about them. So many women will take maca for the first time and be like, wow, this increased energy, total profound. And they don't even know that that's what it's used for.
Right.
And there's just so many herbs that are simple and gentle and easy to work with. Yeah. And I like to think that the access to the information is always there when you need it. So just start with a couple of simple herbs.
Yeah.
We like to go with this thing where you just taste it. Your taste is your best way of understanding the world. So I'll take whatever herbs. Don't start with capsules. Please start with the whole herb and nothing but the herb. So help your herbalist and nutritionist, in this case, find that place within yourself. So a little nibble on a herb. Even if you have capsules, break them open, try them out, so that your body understands what it is it's putting in. And literally, this might only be 1 to 5% of your diet, but it might be the most potent 1 to 5%, and it's important to be that.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of herbs would be used how can we use herbs as a chef? What do you think?
Well, the culinary traditions, we often forget the power of the common kitchen herbs.
Right.
Like sage, parsley, thyme,
They're all digestives.
Yeah.
Go figure. And sage, good for vermifuge, getting rid of the parasites that might be in the foods we're eating.
Yeah, for sure. Another kind of easy way in approach I find as well, and often refer people in the store, is, your formulations where you've got,
Right.
it's very clear, like this is a digestive tea, or this is for, liver harmony, or, those kinds of combinations that you've created that are
Simple ways in.
easy ways in
Yeah.
to begin to incorporate herbs.
For sure. And I mean, the modern day witch's cauldron, the blender, as we say, is a great tool to be working with plant medicine. So we can start putting that in food, and you can get a lot of powdered herbs. You can start adding into drinks and tasting them and checking them out. I like to sometimes put some of the things like some of these medicinal mushrooms, these big gnarly things. Once you get them into a nice powder form, we start putting them into our oatmeals or our soups or that kind of things.
Yeah.
Typically, in most traditional societies, a soup base would be the bone broth or a real strong herbal decoction. So playing with plants that way.
Yeah, totally.
It's great.
A lot of us have that morning ritual of like coffee or tea, and we've done a video that you can check out. The idea of having this herbal base to your coffee or tea, right? Like even if that's just it, like brew up the medicinal mushrooms, then make your coffee with that mushroom tea, or switching it out once in a while, learning how to craft elixirs.
I guess one of the brain hooks we'd like to give you as an inspiration is, how can I upgrade this? How can I take whatever it is I'm doing in my life and add in a little more food knowledge through using plant medicine as part of that? How can I upgrade this?
Totally. And embracing the concept of herbs as a food group is an upgrade, because suddenly you begin engaging that world of herbs, and one by one you're increasing nutritional density and the diversity of the type of plants that you're taking in, and the phytonutrients that they all offer.
For sure. I mean, our ancestors would eat up to 200 different plants in a day. We eat very limited selection right now. And I think if we want to be resilient in the modern age, if we want to stay healthy on a somewhat polluted planet, we need to start to incorporate a bigger aspect of plant medicine as part of our diet. And this isn't like magic bullets to cure arthritis or go through menopause with. This is like things that are just going to help us live this life healthy, vital, and full.
Yeah. All right. So leave you with the inspiration to begin to consider herbs as a food group, exploring, one plant at a time. Go to your local health food store, start there, try out some of these blends. And then also in terms of wildcrafting, I like to encourage people, and this is how I started, was, each season, right? Like just one herb that you're going to learn about and, be able to identify and find in your local area.
And get to know it. I mean, it might even be dandelion, just preferably not the one the dog peed on, but it might just be something simple like that in your backyard. Or what are those weird sticky ones? The cleavers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So empower yourself. Give yourself those tools. They're available.
The tools and the time, right? Like
For
you
sure.
have your whole life to learn. So if you pick one per season, that's very doable. I've done that with medicinal mushrooms and just mushroom foraging in general. Every season it comes around, I'm going to learn one new one, right?
Totally.
Hey, sometimes I learn 4 or 5. But, my goal is 1, and each year I build on that and I build on that. So.
All right, well, medicine be thy food, food be thy medicine. Start working with herbs as a food group. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.